Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are filmmaker Constance Jackson and writer-performer Ellen Lawler. Writer, director, filmmaker Constance Jackson was born in to a large family of hearing-impaired parents in Cleveland, Ohio. She came to California and graduated from Cal State University at Northridge in speech communications and health sciences. Constance, were you going to use your major in any way?
Yes, actually. For the speech communication, I hope to just be able to help companies profile themselves better in the community, present a company better to particularly physicians. Oh,
you were headed that way, and then the dietary area?
Well, I first studied dietetics to become a registered dietitian, and then I decided in my 5th year to change my major to speech communication.
Oh, is that how it happened? Exactly. So you got them both. Right. But then you went on to found this really fabulous Permanent Patients. What is it?
Yes, it's Permanent Patients. It was a corporation, and I developed that to help foreign physicians who were licensed in California to practice, to help position them better in the community. Oftentimes they have difficulty with not only the language, but just understanding the business aspect of medicine.
How do they find you?
Direct mail marketing. I have a background in marketing and public relations.
Oh, that's very interesting. And then you were going to law school at the same time.
Actually, I was going to law school when I founded Permanent Patients. And Permanent Patients took off. Doctors needed me more, so I decided to drop law school after a year and go into healthcare marketing and management.
Oh, that's great. You really were busy at one point.
Yes, very.
Well, I read all that. I've heard you say that. And you're here as a filmmaker. I don't see where that connection comes in.
Well, I've always had an affinity toward filmmaking. My first film project was when I was in junior high school. But I was always taught to be practical. And so dietetics was practical for me. I could get a job anywhere as a dietitian. Right. But with filmmaking, after I was well established with Permanent Patients, after 15 years of running the same corporation, I decided to follow my dreams. And I studied filmmaking. And after 3 years...
And you took a lot of classes in filmmaking?
Because I was such a busy woman running several corporations, I took some classes, but others I had mentors and I had private tutors from people in the business and so forth.
Were you working for film companies? Did you ever work for film companies?
No, I did not.
Oh, you didn't?
I was too busy running my own corporations, but would take classes and then have people in film corporations mentor me.
Well, did you find, I know the film that you made is a really serious, very interesting film to the public, but you came from a large family with lots of different problems, I'm sure.
Yes. Yes, particularly...
especially with your parents being hearing impaired?
Well, yes, in that both my parents were deaf. My parents divorced when I was 11 months old.
Wow.
My mom raised 8 children by herself. And
with a problem herself?
With an hearing impairment, well, being deaf.
Yeah.
But she never allowed that to be an obstacle. So my mom was very much a trailblazer in many areas. For example, the TTY machine for the deaf people to communicate. She was one of the testers of that device when it first got started in terms of communicating among deaf people. She was also among very few deaf people who were hired by the United States Postal Service to see if deaf people could be mainstreamed into the post office.
Really? And
yes.
here she is raising all these 8 kids?
At the time, we were on welfare.
Where did you fit in?
I was the last.
You were the baby?
Yes, yes.
Oh, so.
It wasn't until she was able to just manage me that she finally was able to step out into the business world and get a college degree. And
She did that too?
Yes.
What a remarkable woman.
She was able to read lips. And because she lost her hearing when she was 4 years old, she remembered speech.
Oh,
and
so does
some
that
people,
help?
yes, it does help. Reading lips and being able to read your, with an accuracy to read your lips with such a high accuracy that she had about 65%. She was able to communicate with you and you wouldn't know that she was deaf.
Oh, that's fabulous. So here we are, a family, big family, lots of problems, single mother. And did that open the door for you to look for us, this story, Blitz Attack?
Actually, Blitz Attack found me, but I like the way you phrase opened the door, in that I think life's experiences are definitely, it could be a door opener for any project that one does if you can reflect back and accept your past. And that's what happened with Blitz Attack. There was such a, it was such a similar, the dynamics between what happened with this murder was so similar to one of my siblings who murdered his ex-wife.
That's what I was trying to get at when I said that there were so many problems in your family. And that kind of was, I guess, an impetus for you. Did you understand why that murder happened in your family?
I actually couldn't get to the bottom of it with my brother after probing him. He had the same, I would say, persona of a typical perpetrator who feels that they're the victim. And so when I talked to my brother, he was the victim versus the decedent.
Well, then how did you find this other family that was so much, as you say, like what you were going through or what you had gone through, I guess, right?
Yes, I was actually at a dinner party, and a teacher from that area had heard.
Tell us where the area is and tell us a little bit about it.
The area is Holtville, California, and it's just a few miles south, north, I'm sorry, of the Mexican border near Calexico and El Centro.
I got it.
And it's a small farming community of about 5,000 people. And pretty much they provide vegetables to the LA area, San Diego. It's known as the carrot capital of the world.
Right.
And I was at a dinner party, and a teacher from that area had heard about my other scripts that I had written, and also a film that I had shot about an abolitionist. And he says, you know, that's a pretty tough subject. I have a subject to tell you. And he told me about a little bit about Andrea Hines and what happened to 2 students at his school.
Oh, it was at his school. So tell us a little bit about the story, and then I'm going to ask you how these people, because you interviewed, I don't know how many, 30, 40 people?
Correct, over 30 people. Essentially, I was told that a boy, 13 years old, murdered a family friend who was 14. He stabbed her 74 times and carved a stylized pentagram on her stomach. And this happened in 1994. And that's all I had heard. It was enough for me to want to probe further because of, you know, the horrific heinousness of a crime perpetrated by a 13-year-old boy. So I made arrangements after doing some digging to interview the girl's parents, and went to San Diego to interview the parents. And after finding out the specifics, I thought my partner and I must go to the town of Holtville and get different points of views and find out what really triggered this event.
Was it easy for you to get these people to speak to you? Because I saw that in one section you had several people together. Did they feel more comfortable sitting together and being interviewed by you?
I think that one section in the story was about the family. It was all the family members.
So they felt more comfortable that way?
And in fact, when those family members came, that was 2 or 3 years, 2 years after I had initially met them. We audio taped folks in the town.
I see.
And then we went back a couple of years later.
I see.
And then interviewed additional people, in total of a little over 30 people.
And how long did it take you to make this film?
From its inception, from the interview to finally the sound and post-production, it was 3 years.
And then that was the first part. Then you have a second, Blitz Attack, the second part.
Yes.
And what does this cover?
Well, Blitz Attack, the first part, looks at the whole convergence of how this could have possibly happened. So you have other people involved. You have the town people and everything. With Blitz Attack Part 2 Revelations, we're only focusing on the parents. And what comes up in the story are issues of methamphetamine use, the town normalizing issues of methamphetamine. It was coined the methamphetamine capital of the world.
Oh, it was. They were making it there, obviously.
Well, yes. Like in many farm communities, they do that, but it's close to the border, so it was easy for them to transport drugs.
I see. So you had also, I think, one of the things that you were interested in were the family values. There was alcohol abuse, drugs, and there were a lot of issues, and that family value, was it showing? I mean, it wasn't working with the person who killed her, and was it working with the family, her family?
Yes, it's on the face of it, seemingly this is a relatively normal family. You have a mother who's a school psychologist, and at the time she was studying to become a school psychologist. You have the victim, and then you have the perpetrator's mother, a school teacher.
I know, it seems so normal.
And then you have the two fathers of these two drug addicts.
Oh, is that
methamphetamine and cocaine addicted.
I see. And you talk about breaking the cycle. How do you break the cycle on something like that?
You know, that's a tough question to answer. I mean, it's not, just one easy answer, but I think that there's a lot of hard work that needs to go into raising a child and being accountable to your children. And I think that's what was lacking here. It was, you had two women who were struggling mothers trying to keep, food on their on the table, versus usually the tradition of the father being breadwinners. They basically had to raise their husbands. And then to have an emotionally detached relationship between the parents, things start to unfold, in terms of the dysfunctionality in the family, because nobody's really watching the kids.
But it's really interesting because you had those problems in your own family.
Yes.
And there's two diverse kids come out of it. Someone who's a murderer in your family, and someone like you who's doing good and helping and working for the betterment of the world.
Well,
it's amazing.
Well, it just goes to show you that dysfunctionality doesn't necessarily breed murderers. It's just certainly a contributor to that.
Right.
There are a lot of women out here who have been raped and abused all their lives and are silent about the issue and can function really well.
Right.
So it's something beyond that. It's what there are a lot of theorists who believe that murderers, rapists, and people who batter and assault, they have a different aspect in their lives. They're being taught this from almost day one.
Somewhere, huh?
And usually from they see that it usually starts in the home.
Yeah, that's what.
Usually these kids are probably brutalized themselves, beaten by the parent, or verbally abused. And
that's why they talk about breaking the cycle.
Yes.
And that's what you have to break.
Right.
And if we can learn something from what your film tells us, we would be so lucky. So thank you.
I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Constance Jackson.
Welcome.
And don't go away. We'll be right back with Ellen Lawler. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm here with writer, producer, performer, Ellen Lawler, who was born and raised in Long Island, New York. She graduated from State University of New York at Fredonia and went on to earn a Master of Fine Arts from Rutgers, receiving scholarships from both schools. She's also received grants for performing and writing, including one which I think is really great, the Women's Study Program at Princeton. It seems that theater was always for you when you were in Long Island or on Long Island.
Oh yeah, I started when I was a kid. My grandmother wanted to be an actress. She was an extra in the movie Naked City, and every family gathering, she had 9 kids, so I had 31 first cousins at the time, and we performed.
So you performed for each other?
Yeah, we performed for each other, so theater was in my blood from early on.
And then from there, where's Fredonia? I never knew where that is.
It's upstate New York, just about an hour southwest of Buffalo, on right off of Lake Erie there.
Way up.
Yeah.
Was it freezing?
It was freezing. It was ridiculous, but I loved it. It was great. It was a very artsy school, and
so from there you went to New York. Did you go to New York from there?
No, from there I actually went straight to graduate school. I went to Rutgers, and
there you were in New York already. Mm-hmm. So you were.
It was New York State, upstate New York, and then I came down to New Jersey and studied at Rutgers with a pretty famous acting teacher. His name is William Esper. He carried on the Sanford Meisner technique from the group theater days. So it was a way to hone my acting skills and develop a more of a technique. I always wanted to write, and I got a scholarship there, and Bill said to me, you know what, Picasso didn't just start painting abstract, he started with portraits, so let this be your portrait training.
So then you formed you did start writing.
Yeah.
And you formed a union.
Well, with my husband. Oh yeah. Well, it was years later. First, I wrote about being single.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, sure. Then I did a show about trying to.
Oh, that's right.
Jumping off the fridge. It was about 3 generations of women, and my generation being the one that is getting hounded to get married already. You know, so many women now are career people. They are not marrying so soon.
I love that.
So.
It was the story. Yeah. What is it? A story of a woman in a one-man.
That was my first solo performance. Zell Rebel's The Story of a Woman in a One-Man Show, and that was really about the rite of passage from into adulthood. And then the second piece was, okay, now I'm an adult. Now everyone's nagging me to get married, and I was pretty happy being single.
But did you write and perform your own pieces?
Yeah.
Because that was at the Public Theater, at Second Stage. I mean, those were really good places you were.
Yeah, I was lucky. I developed a lot of the work in downtown, in the downtown art scene, places like Dixon Place. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And there was just a lot of support at that time for solo performance, and the Public Theater developed a whole program around it.
And then one of your plays, Anne Mira, starred in, right?
Well, I worked with Anne on a film a long time ago, and we maintained a friendship, and so I was actually raising money for a show, and so I wrote a small show for her in a crazy turn of events. Yeah,
she's wonderful.
She's amazing.
So here we are. Now we've got you to make it, having a union, having a writing partner, having a life partner, I guess, right? A husband.
Yeah, he's everything.
And then so how did that happen? Did it help you in writing when you had a partner?
You know, his background is directing in theater and opera, and he and I had been writing by myself, and we met and fell in love and had this wonderful romance, and I was on a deadline for a movie screenplay, and I couldn't get it, you know. It was too personal, the story, so I was too close to it. And he said, let me help you, talk to me, I'll give you feedback. And in that process of him giving me feedback and us going back and forth with ideas, we knew right away that this was a great collaboration. And so I said, how would you feel about actually writing this with me, like starting from scratch? And he said, I'd love it, because he started as a writer, then was an actor, then became a director. So he came full circle as well.
So it was this writing team.
Yeah, it was
Did it give you a better edge when you wrote TV and did things to have the two of you together?
Absolutely. We bring such different things to the pot. I'm more of a story character structure. I like the personal stories a lot. I like to tell real stories and theatricalize them a lot. And he's just so great with the very smart humor. And it's just a different, and he's also an English teacher, so he's got that background too. He's very literate. And so it's a nice, we bring a nice mix, I think, to it. And this play that we're doing now at the Coronet, I began it myself. It was a one-act that.
The name of it is Glory.
It's called Glory Pie.
Glory Pie. We have the little. It's so cute.
Yeah.
I know. Just tell us a little bit about it. It started as a one-act. Tell us.
Started as a one-act, and we had a couple of staged readings. We did them at the Knitting Factory, and they were so well received. People just, it's very funny. It's a show about a couple who is throwing a party for the hostess's sister. She's going off to China to adopt after years of trying to have children of her own. And that night, right before her sister comes over, she finds out she's pregnant. And she doesn't want to be pregnant. It's too soon, and she's a dancer, and she's worried about her career. And prior to the sister coming over, the new neighbors come over, and they're this Hollywood starlet couple, and they throw a lot of wrenches into the pot. And they're all asking the wrong questions, which are sort of politically incorrect, but ultimately, it was our experience, because when we began our journey to adopt, we were thrown into this
Same
world.
kind of thing with your friends doing the same thing?
Yeah, well, everyone asks you, the first question is, how much does it cost to buy a baby from China?
Right,
Right. And I have a silly
answer. How much does it cost to buy any baby from anywhere, right?
I like to say it's less than a year of college and more than a boob job. That's kind of my, depending on which college you go to, I guess.
But when you were doing these staged readings, did you perform in them?
I didn't.
How did
I've
you
taken a
pick the
step back
people?
from performing, because it allows me to see the writing better. And we have a wonderful network of friends and professional actors and writers here in LA. We have, we just know so many people, so we've never had a real problem getting people to do it.
Call a friend to come do a reading? I mean, is that basically what you do?
Well, or friends recommend people, and for this particular production, we actually had a casting director help us with it, but we still had so many people we knew come out
And
for
then
it.
when you do have a reading, it's directed, right? You have a director directing it?
John directed it, and he did it.
Did. John, your husband?
John Lawler, and he's directing this production as well. And he's a wonderful director. He works really well with the actors. And
he's directing Glory Pie at the Coronet right now. And he helped write it.
He developed it with me, absolutely, and he wrote a lot of the jokes. And
so once you got started, and it was a one-person or a one-act play, how did you elongate it?
Well, everyone wanted to know what happened to these people. People kept asking us, so now what? And I feel like there's a second act, and I want to live with these people a little bit longer. And we thought about it and developed it more. And so the evening just goes on a little bit longer, and more things happen. We've allowed a very funny short one act to become a very funny one act, turned into a play that has some weight to it, some depth to it.
It's still one act. It's
90 minutes, no intermission.
I see. And what is a Glory Pie?
Well, in the play, I kind of don't want to give it away, but I'll give you a little bit of a hint.
Okay.
In the play, it's something that the main character, Paula, refers to. It's something she made up. She's a dancer, and after she dances a great performance and she gets met with all the adulation from her fans or family or friends, she calls that moment of basking in the adulation, that's Glory Pie, It just feels so good, and that's kind of, it's that sort of that ultimate high without any drugs or anything like that. It's just because of something you've given, something you've done, and people respond, and it's so she's also a cook in the play, and so she's created a pie, and she calls it Glory Pie too, because it tastes so good when you eat the pie, your troubles just melt away, you feel so good. So she just, it's sort of a funny thing for her. And
I have a Glory Pie. I do have a Glory Pie. I keep smelling it on the set.
It's delicious.
Is it really a Glory Pie?
It's amazing. My very first job in LA was with at Sweet Lady Jane. It's a fabulous bakery on Melrose Avenue.
It's fabulous.
She's amazing. Jane is a genius with pastries and
Jane
cakes.
was really a Sweet Lady Jane.
Yeah. Well, I asked
she
her.
was a real person.
Oh yeah, Jane's a real person. She started baking out of her apartment. So, and I just said, we're doing this play called Glory Pie, and you make such incredible things. What do you think about creating a Glory Pie for the bakery and doing like a cross promotion with the play? And she thought it was a great idea, and it's been really fun to have
So
that.
if you go to Sweet Lady Jane, you can have Glory Pie.
Yeah.
If you come to the Cornet.
Can
you have Glory Pie there?
Well, I think just from watching the show, you get Glory Pie. I think that's the idea. But Sweet Lady Jane's just around the corner from the theater, so you can go get Glory Pie right after the show.
So it really did work out for you. This is actually a true story, isn't it?
Yeah. We got married, I guess, late by, you know, our parents.
By young standards.
Immediately, everyone from both sides of the family started pressuring us, as, you know, when are you going to have kids? And we just decided that we wanted to be together first. We wanted to have a real, you know, good 5 or so years just being together, because, you know, it was wonderful.
We were
loved
old.
it, and we were happy. And so we made a decision right then and there. If we don't get pregnant, just, you know, naturally, it just happens, we're going to adopt. And then our friends adopted from China, and we started to live this journey with them, and that's when I started writing the piece. And then we decided...
you started it about them.
I started it about them before we actually began our process. So I planted the seed for us, but it was really about them, because they were going through a lot of stuff in this process. They were grappling it. They had gone through the fertility. They had gone through a domestic adoption.
We've all gone through it.
Yeah.
And so that's how it came about?
And then we just were so excited about their daughter from China. She's just an amazing kid. And we said, you know what? Let's give this abandoned child a chance. Let's do it. And we did.
And what did you get?
Yeah, our daughter is...
Oh, you got a daughter too?
Yeah, she's now 15 months, and she's amazing. We got her when she was 8.5 months old, and she's truly remarkable. And we just love the family that we've created by bringing her into our home and into our lives. It's been great.
And I bet she looks just like you already.
You know, that is one of the things that people say all the time.
Know.
She looks just like you.
I know, isn't it?
I'm like, yeah, when I smile real hard, yeah.
But when, you know, like if it's made in heaven, it looks like you. So you're really lucky. Well, good luck with Glory Pie, and maybe we'll have Glory Pies for the next show.
Well, yeah, check it out. Their website is beautiful, glorypie.com,
right.
and you can see it at the Cornet.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
And thanks for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles today. Keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017.